Welcome, my friends. This is Maniacal Incorporated. In the last episode, we conquered 3 counties en route to forming an empire. At that rate of progress, we will have the prerequisites for forming an empire in 11 episodes. We have a lot of work to do. Here is our prison. It is full of prisoners, as it should be. Surely, we can find somebody in here who is fit to serve the kingdom. We'll start with Nuala. Prowess isn't great, doesn't have any great military skills, but she is the wife of the Count of Shropshire, what's left after we took 2 of its counties, so we will... How do we get rid of her? We will ransom her for 25. Now, let's see the rest of them. A 7, that's not great. A 7, that's not great. We'll go with Julian. A 5, he's a 13 martial, brilliant strategist. Yves, he's chaste. He's a 0, doesn't even know the front end of a sword from the back end. Not Countess Nuala. Adalbert, surely Adalbert. Adalbert. Forest fighter, he's a skill tactician. He does have a 17 martial. And when Nuala dries or cleans all the blood off of her from all the people we have just executed around her and leaves, our prison will be ready for the next batch of intake. That utterly unnecessary execution spree has gotten the High King from 19 to 100 dread. And I didn't realise this, but when we took control of him, he had already undertaken a vow of poverty. Instead of renouncing that, because we're making 7.5 gold anyway, on top of the penalties from the vow of poverty and from being generous, with the money we've put together, we're going to go on a pilgrimage. Now we're going to see what is going on in the Vatican. As I prepare for my journey, I know that I will travel safely under the protection of God. I don't know. You're technically going to Egypt. It is time to depart. Now, he isn't going to be around to see all of this, but Nuala, our prisoner who is leaving, she's returning to her husband in Shropshire. We've given her a little letter, which we've told her to deliver to her husband. So he gives her that letter before he heads off. Our nephew is our player Ercaid, probably because everyone is terrified of me. And I've also, as I always do, started marrying off more of my knights to various people. I should also have pointed out that I granted the Cheshire to the Duke of Man, who is also the Duke of Lancaster, and then I retracted his vassalage over the... oh god, I can't remember. Some part of the Isles, and I have now given that back to the Isles, so there's at least some bit more stability up there. You can see something is terribly wrong here, and it is the fact that de Hybert still, after decades, still controls Gary. Like I've been saying, I want to give them something before I take that off of them. So that something has been coming for a long time. I don't think we're going to see it in this episode. So we have 2 pop-ups. One is that somebody accepts a marriage between Bertha. She's marrying Astrangi. Mats. And there. The ransom is accepted. Heising will pay 25 gold for the release of his wife from prison. And then she hands over a letter to him. I wonder what the letter says. Oh, it's a declaration of war. This is pretty much going to be it for the next couple of years, is just continuous war. I'm not even going to split the armies. If we can hit his force that he is moving in this direction, we could bring this war to an end very quickly. We're not going to hit that. Possibly we should have actually split the armies and and try to engage in some kind of a pincer movement. So the High King is not commanding, because of course he's not here. Where is the High King? He is putting up with bandits. Dear God, if this is how the High King goes out, stop this madness. I will pay you whatever you want. No, we need that money for an empire. There must be somewhere around here I can hide. A man with 19 prowess. He's not... I don't think he's going to hide from this. Where is my sword? I will drive these dogs away. 75% chance he gets Aspiring Blade Master. 16% chance he's wounded. And look at this. Just by killing some people, he's learned how to fight better. I'm beginning to think we should have definitely split this army. And finally, they've stopped moving. But we could have tried to cut them off and maybe brought this to an end a bit sooner. I think with Ercaid, we're dealing with the greatest military High King the kingdom has ever seen. He's now up to 22 prowess. But he's been terrified by a rude story. He is passing a campfire. Somebody is telling a story about the High King of Ireland. A High King of Ireland. Oh, it probably involves a raging ox, doesn't it? They've done the overseas translations of Quillen's book. Everyone's reading about the raging ox. Flann Sinna and the raging ox. Go on, sure, tell us the story. Let's see how they tell it on the continent. Tadhg Moore, I don't think he's ever killed anyone. He's wounded a lot of people. He hasn't killed anyone. Did Tadhg Moore and another of our dukes wound... Did they both wound the same person? That poor lad. We have a pop-up in the background about one of our sons. Before we deal with that, we'll take a quick look at the battle. There's Ercaid. Cosrach. That wasn't the duke. It was Tadhg Moore. Where is he? There's Tadhg Moore. And Ercaid. And it was... Who did they wound? This dude. Did you both wound him? He's not looking great. Jesus, the poor man, he's not looking great. He's had better days. So there's Matt's. I think that's Matt's first day on the job. And I think that's about it, really. That's the only new knight that we've managed to add to our retinue. He was enlisted by Tadhg Moore. He's already doing a better job than you. I've switched control of the army, put it to somebody sieging. They're sieging down one of the territories that we need. In the name of the divine. So we're now raising two of our sons. And this is Joseph, who is going to be in line for, or who is in line for, Upper Lorraine. And we're going to teach him in the ways of the martial education, now that we are one of the greatest martial kings that the High Kingdom, or that the Kingdom of Ireland has ever seen. What are we going to do? Cynical. We could teach him to be just or temperate. What will cynical give him? Intrigue, learning, piety goes down. He'd be cynical just like his father. I don't think there's anything great from the rest of them. Intrigue goes down massively. His intrigue is already in the bin. Vassal opinion goes up. Or temperate. It is a virtue to insular Christians, and I think it seems as though we're going to be sending him out into Upper Lorraine to try and bring that region into the light of insular Christianity. I think it's only too right that whoever goes there should have some virtues. And after a long journey, the High King has made it to Rome, where he has faced his greatest battles. It was not in saving the kingdom from the Norse. It was not in Bohemia. No. It was en route to Rome, where he fought his greatest battle, became an aspiring blade master. And he knows what's important. The most important thing is that he is seen and heard to be in Rome. That's it. We don't really care about being holy, as long as the vassals think we're holy. And so he returns home. The abbots and the priors are treating him differently. it is good to be home. The pilgrimage ends, and the first thing we will do is put him in charge of the siege. It's like he never left. Speaking of the story of the Raging Ox, the man who wrote that story, Goitne, has died. He was educating one of our daughters. She had the stewardship education, or she's doing the stewardship education, and I think he was actually a high stewardship figure, but he has put religious nonsense into her head, from what I can understand, so we have to find a new educator for her. I think she only has a year of education left, but we'll put her under the charge of Fulcari, our eunuch crusader, our irritable eunuch crusader. I'd be pretty irritable as well. So we will send that proposal. I can't imagine there's too much longer left before she comes of age. As we finish the siege of Shropshire, we have an option of what we're going to do. I think we will send the army down. We will either hit these guys, or they will run away. And I'm also reminded of the fact that Goitne, Quillen, hired him as our physician, and I reappointed him as a physician, so we have to go and find a new one. And a rather common practice of recent has been to award the position of head physician to our archbishop. Goitne was a monk who stayed with us after he wrote a book about the family, but Congal is already on 18 learning. He's the highest in the court. He is shrewd, insightful thinker, and we'll give him time to go and figure out how to be a physician. I suppose there isn't a lot more they can do, bless them. Only stand there and try and resist us. We have taken the man himself hostage. To the loathsome High King Ercaid. I pretty much understand that, considering all that we've done to you over the last couple of episodes. The last 2 episodes. Last episode and a quarter, maybe, at most. Anyway, good luck to you. It wasn't the biggest of battles from our point of view. Borkvard was killed by Owen, and one of their mayors, the mayor of Wolverhampton, was killed by Doved. I don't think anyone on our side was injured. No. So, I've stood down the army. We now have some territory that belongs to us that is putting us over the domain limit, so we're going to take a look at that and see what we can do, and then see what the next part of the plan is. So I've addressed this briefly before. The gap in ages between Ruacon's eldest and youngest children. So if we look at his eldest child, Flann, she was born in 976, and his youngest son, Murcha, our younger brother, when was he born? 1032. So a substantial gap in years between all of them. Murcha has a lot of claims, but he has no land. And we have too much land. We have, what's this? Leicestershire is also in Mercia. I think giving him 3 counties is maybe a bit much for now, but what I'm going to do is we're going to give our younger brother Murcha, we're going to give him Staffordshire and Shropshire, and possibly prepare for making him the Duke of Mercia at some point in time. Before we go much further with this alliance and get into any more trouble, here is our son, our eldest son, Coleman. He's married to, he's betrothed to the woman who is now the sister to the King of Bohemia. Her father was deposed, damn Daniel. How many wars did he drag us into? 5? 6? I don't know. It's a bit of a hit in the prestige pocket But we're not going to be helping him with any more wars, and hopefully we might be able to find somebody who might be able to provide a better alliance. Not the best scenario, not the Wurtz scenario. It's Würzburg. In the middle of Europe, we can just about see the borders of Bohemia. And here is some regions which we sieged down not that long ago. 1,700 troops. We'll send that. And waiting only long enough for it to tick into a new month and for our reinforcements to come true. Now that we've pushed into the heart of England, into Leicestershire, we're going to pretty much do a bit of a cross-country run. This guy has been offered vassalization on numerous occasions. What's he at now? Minus 107. I don't blame him. The conquest of East Anglia. It is the rock on which Quillen foundered. We will not fail. Well, I hope we won't. We'll go for the kingdom because I think that gives us 2 counties. It does indeed. We will confirm. And there's another 300 prestige gone just like that. We're bringing the High King around, trying to skirt him around an area which will cause him to lose some forces. We might actually, we'll lose 103 by coming in here anyway. But if we can actually hit these 2 armies, we will deal a substantial blow. Here is the High King's army, trying to get it into Norfolk. So it's going to be 2 chases. How exciting! Are we going to catch them in either? We've caught them in 1. The High King is still chasing, and if we don't end up catching them shortly, I think I might just pull him out of that entirely. Here are some big names from within the kingdom. Duke Ercaid, who is serving in the army, has been hosting our Chancellor, Duke Scanlon, who's not in the army. I think he's a bit wounded at the moment. Well, he's a bit wounded and he's a bit one-legged, so I'd say his soldiering days are over. But Ercaid has been hosting him, and he has been brought around to see the splendour of our rule. Here's one of the big problems. Again, yes, he wants a seat in the council. The fact that we're tribal, the offensive wars, we're now up to 13, and how long we have had tribal authority at absolute level in preparation for going on to the feudal age, how much time we have lost in researching feudal technologies because we're still stuck trying to get this bloody empire. 1 battle ends before I even have time to actually take a look at it. We will march you to there. The High King is fighting and walloping and baiting. And we're already up to 80%. That is awesome because York has came into the war. I'm not too sure where else came in. Oxfordshire. Oxfordshire isn't all that big. York took off. They went out into the ocean. They headed off somewhere. Who knows where they're going to? I look at the list just so we keep the names fresh in our minds. I split the armies and I made sure to keep Pygmoor and Mats in the same army. And who else do we have? There's Murcha of Staffordshire. I have no idea who you are. Actually, I do. You're my brother. I just gave you some land. He's my half-brother and brother-in-law and vassal. Welcome. I didn't even know he was fighting in the army. There you go. It's his first battle. I actually had to invite him to the kingdom. I didn't realise that. So I made my little spiel about how I was going giving him land and then went to give it to him and I couldn't. I had to invite him. Thankfully, he did heed his brother's summons. And then in the High King's battle, or his slaughter at Suffolk, we captured their commander and wounded him. It was a bad day for them. There he is, wounded. Another guy wounded. Lots of people captured. Let's see if any of them are any good to serve in our armies. So we can start pushing people like poor owl Doved out. Actually, we can see right here, it's not looking good for you, gentlemen. It's not looking good. Here's our son Dovdaleha. We're educating him to be a martial figure like us. His sister was preaching among her fellow youngsters and became a target of a small fight. So we could either encourage him to remain calm. What's the other one? He becomes zealous. +2 martial. This is the one that I like. Brave. +2 martial, +3 to prowess. Likelihood of dying in battle. +100%. Dovdaleha. Learn to be brave. And this genuinely is a bit of a shock. I wasn't expecting this at all. But our wife, Elizabeth, has died from obesity. And I actually forgot that this might have some ramifications on the children that we're educating. First of all, at least the memories remain. I think we're going to be pushed over the edge. Is that what critical means? It does. Maybe we shouldn't have gained stress by making our son become brave. So we are going to be overwhelmed by stress. I hammer on the pause button a couple of times until I actually pause the game. Is life worth living without Elizabeth? Of course it is. It's always worth living while there are more sieges. We could become melancholic. We could have a drink to remember and another to forget. We would go on a drinking binge for 3 years. Thankfully, we don't need to be sober to operate siege machinery. A drink to remember her and a drink to forget. It looks like we are still educating him. But here is Duke Joseph of House Uí Néill, sitting as the Duke of Upper Lorraine. He has 1,349 troops. Do we have an alliance with him? We don't, and he won't negotiate an alliance with his father. -169 because he's a claimant. I'll be having words with you. You won't be getting nothing for your birthday. At the moment, the options aren't great. Very few people want to marry us. Very few people outside of our own kingdom. We have found somebody in Saarbrücken. They have at their name, or they will bring in 600 troops. Not too bad. Not too bad. We can't complain about that too much. Her grandfather was slain in battle, if I'm right. Or her great-grandfather, maybe. And her grandfather was slain in battle. So this would be the... This is the count that we're looking at, the countess, the mother of Ricarda von Babenberg. So we will send that proposal. And it was actually just as that proposal was closing that I saw the liege of the count, or the countess. We're marrying a vassal of our son's. I think it's the Countess that will respond to that. It would have been fantastic if our son responded to that. It would have been fantastic if it had been our son. Our daughter, Olach, comes of age. Let's see how she actually fared. Okay, she's turned into a 3-star fortune builder. Not great stats, but she had a very confused education. She even possesses, or she even expresses, a remarkable creativity in dealing with these. I imagine it's creativity is the right word to use. They grow up so fast, and I believe she's betrothed to somebody in Eschenlohe. So we will send that proposal. I don't know what possessed them, but Norwich just sent in 200 people against us. Maybe just a last desperate attempt to try and capture, to try and break the siege. It failed. They lost a knight. So we won the siege. This one wasn't progressing very well, and we are now in a position to enforce our demands to the hysterical High King Ercaid. Go away, you. We have succeeded where Quillen failed. We have captured East Anglia. Fair play to him, he's still hanging around. Federigo, he's long left the army, but he's 72 years of age. I've been looking around for a member of the family to hand out some land to get us back to our domain limit. I can't find anyone, so I think it is only fair. He has a child, a daughter. I think it's only fair that in the final few, who knows, he might outlive all of us yet. We're going to give him Leicestershire. And I'm actually thinking East Anglia, if we come and look at it. Oh, I don't think I actually have the title. Nope, I don't have the title. But as you can see, it's actually a small, handy little duchy, and I think it might be a bit handier than Lothian. I might, at some point in time, be able to take possession of all of the counties here. Indeed, I might actually give out another county. I might give out one of the counties in Lothian and revoke this one from my vassal. We have a couple of prisoners that we can ransom out, including the guy that we just took Cambridgeshire off of. This poor guy is not great. We pause long enough only to allow the army to recover somewhat and to hold a feast to pacify our vassals. The guests are gathered in the Great Hall. The mood is bright. I think that is very true. Everything is going quite well at the moment. A number of people have paid their way out of prison. And look, Federigo! Earl Federigo! Federigo has formed a faction against us. My dear wife Astrid has been working hard to ensure that everything about the feast goes smoothly. We lose 14 stress. That is fantastic. Direct vassal opinion goes up 5. Even better. That was a fantastic one. Earl Federigo. You're a bit old now to be thinking about independence factions. The Duke Enumcoid. He has been a good servant to us. However, we are irritable. We're a bit short-tempered. I think we're a bit anxious to get out onto the field. He asks, "Are you sure I am not boring you, my lord? You making a fool of yourself could never bore me. We will lose more stress. We will gain prestige. Losing stress is very important. We have a good chunk of it at the moment. He already hates us, so it doesn't make much of a difference. And, yeah, I think that's what we'll go with. And everyone departs. Until next time, we've gotten the Eager Reveler trait. I didn't expect that. Well, I think this is the base level. We gain 150 prestige. I was thinking he wouldn't be holding a lot of feasts, that he'd be predominantly doing hunts, but we kind of need to hold one to get over that offensive war penalty that we have at the moment. Until next time. Earl Federigo. Surely they have figured out what we are doing by now, but they are powerless to stop us. We come to the petty king of Huiche. We declare war for his main duchy. We come to Hampshire. We're not in a position because we have a truce with him. Why do we have a truce with this man? That's a bit of a disappointment. We will lose a level of fame. Well, it looks like you will live for today. We could, of course, come up here and declare war. We have a truce with you as well. How do we have truces with so many people? I know it wasn't all that long ago that we were at war. I think this guy was called in on the side of whatever used to be here once upon a time. You think you can stop us, but you can't. It's entirely possible that I gave a quick look at Toulouse, whether we might be in a position to declare war on Toulouse. I think I'm going to just send the armies in just as they are right now. yeah, we won't worry about splitting them. Toulouse, if we can win this battle, I think we should be in a position to hit Toulouse. They have just got a lot more troops from somewhere. Who knows where exactly? This might be a bit closer than we expected. They're coming back. They have gotten the help of some mercenaries. Now, I don't know if they still have the mercenaries. I don't think it's actually only the mercenaries that are coming back. Let's pull these guys back to... Let's pull them all the ways up here. Let's see if the mercenaries will go for the King's army. And if so, we can try and pull these guys out and send them in afterwards. We're not going to be able to move too far away from the King's army, which is a bit of a pity. We're not going to be able to see this this fight out as quickly as I would have liked. But I think if we can take this region, there's very little to stop us from at least contemplating declaring war on Toulouse for the two regions here to the south. We have a military perk. I'd love to be in a position to get Peacemaker, but there is just too much stuff that's not of any great value to us here to go in that direction. So for now, we're going to decrease Causus Belli costs, and we're probably going to go for Organised March the next time around. Another thing that I'm going to do, because we're commanding the army so much, I'm going to move to Chivalry focus, because we've gotten our dread up and we're keeping that very high by executing a lot of people. So this will give us advantage and it will give us prowess. So that puts the High King up to prowess. I think he should go up to 25. I might be wrong. But then again, he is losing stats because he's drunk and because of his old age. We'll take a quick look at that last battle. Possibly one of the most important battles in the history of the Empire, because if we can break Huiche, yes, you heard me correctly, the Empire, if we can break Huiche, we should be in a position to, I don't think there's a lot more that can stand against us. Oh, of course, bar England. But this is one of the areas that I've been worried about for a while. Aelgol is after getting wounded, so that's Aelgol the Second. I think his father already died from his wounds. What is he? He's a 7. He's a 9. Oh, these are not great numbers. And of course, up at the top, Ercaid, Ercaid, Strangi, Federigo. Oh, look at Earl Federigo. Oh, he's back now. Oh, he's back now. Now that he has his independence faction. Well, isn't it fine for some? In all fairness, though, fair play to him. Where is he? 73 years of age, and he is still fighting in the armies he's trying to break free from. So we can actually see, I think, there in the top left, they're going for Dublin. Huiche has gone for Dublin. I wonder what to make of this. First of all, I think it means that we are free to go and do whatever the hell we want in terms of raiding places down. And we get a pop-up that that independence faction has fallen apart because its only member is dead. Well, do you know what? Bless him. He got to be an earl for a while, and out he went and fought his last battle. Like I said, one of the most important battles in the kingdom, possibly in the Empire. Because if we can take this region, if we can just take this region, fair play to you, Federigo. We didn't always see eye to eye, especially when you started a faction to declare independence from me the minute I gave you a county. But sure, you ever look, fair play to you. So it doesn't look like we're going to outsiege the army in Dublin. Most certainly not. They just got a big jump. And it looks like Dublin is going to be sieged down. We could have struck that army. They've lifted the siege for some reason. at the last minute they lifted the siege. I'm not too sure why. Hampshire has become part of their kingdom. Our son converted to Catholicism. Oh no. We've occupied someplace. I'm not too sure what got into them, or what strange decision they made. They're bringing the army all the ways around. Possibly it's because maybe they realized that that the region they're sieging wasn't going to do much good. I think we're going to have to... What are we going to do? We want to see where they're bringing that army. Let's see if we can lock it in. Right. Elgal and Thaigmoor are fighting, giving out like mad. We've no stress, so I think we're going to deliver a speech. 67% chance that we get some lifestyle experience. It failed. We still have a chance to get some lifestyle experience by baiting the living daylights out of these guys. We've managed to catch the army. Oh, that was a disaster. That was nothing short of a disaster. They came ashore. They were wedged in between the two armies. We would enforce our demands. To the false High King, Ercaid. Moilon is the last person that called me false. I don't know, are you in league with him, or is he putting ideas into your head? So be it. And we'll take a quick look at the slaughter at Bristol. I'd say we were just spearing them as they were coming off of the ship. None of them broke 10. I don't think we've anyone of any value. Well, he's valuable, but we can't actually force him to join us. Look at this, like their top knight was a 10. We're talking about poor Mancon got injured. We're talking about 2 of our knights are below their best knight. Dismiss. As always, our prisons are an absolute mess. Here's a member of the family. We can't ransom her, so we will just... we'll gain a weak hook and negotiate her release. This guy, the poor old thing, he's only 17. We'll let him out. Of course, we'll demand his conversion. We've had this guy in prison for a while, I think. 6 months? That's not that long. His brother is bankrupt. That's the problem. His brother was the petty king of East Anglia. Look. We'll let you go as well. This is an earl in our domain. I have ransomed him out to himself, and I'm then going to give him Berkshire. We're way over our domain limit, and I can't find anyone to give these places to. This individual... I have no idea who they were serving. Oh, well, there you go. The guy that we were just at war with. I don't think we can ransom him. He's not much good. He's badly disfigured. He's disfigured and he's wounded. Do you know what? I'm just gonna negotiate his release and demand his conversion. Unless I'm willing to start handing land out to even more knights, I have nobody to give these 2 counties to. I'm not giving them to the guy in Oxfordshire and Berkshire. He has enough. But, yeah, well, I'm absolutely caught for people to try and give land to. I'm now trying to sway members of my own family to come to the court and take the land. Should I give it to my sons? I'm not too sure. Maybe. For now, however, before we even have time to rebuild the armies, we come to the Duchess of Toulouse. She has 1,000 troops. She's in a war at the moment. She helped the... Well, no, she didn't. You. Her father assisted the Norse in taking... or in trying to subjugate the entire kingdom. We are going to declare war and conquer the Duchy of Wessex. So we have these two, Dorset and the Isle of Wight. We march the armies in. That's rather bad timing. Our neighbour, who we happen to be at war with, has lost the Liberty War. Oh god, that's actually even worse for her. I thought what had happened there was that maybe whoever she was fighting against had taken over, but no, it's just she's weak. She's even more weak now. She's finally in a position to call in allies. 4 knights and about 410 people. Your father shouldn't have tried to drive me off of my throne. I can't understand why nobody wants Wiltshire with the Stonehenge. Some of these came to us. Martin, Duke Coning's bishop, has been digging up spurious contracts and fabricated histories. Now Duke Coning dares act as if it all amounts to a legitimate claim on the earldom of Cambridgeshire. You can come for it. You can come for it. Or do you know what? I might actually give the earldom of Cambridge to you, or at least bring it into your domains, by bringing you into my domains. I'll tell you one thing for nothing, you will regret this. Lies and more lies. I don't believe that... I think with the defeat of Huicha, I don't think there's any place here that is in a position to stand up to us right now. If we look at... I'm not even going to pause the game. Not even going to pause the game. Look at this for overconfidence. This has given us... this has caused trouble before. Sweden is not in a position to resist us, and if we come and look at England, maybe on a good day, maybe. Our son Dovdaleha comes of age. He is, just like his father, a skilled tactician, an aggressive attacker, intelligent. He's brave, of course, temperate, and arbitrary. I think we'll see him in the armies in the next episode. They grow up so fast. And I think he's in a position to marry into Minden. Am I right in saying... So we're going to re-establish this alliance after, I suppose, the better part of a decade. This is Borchard in northern East Franconia. And of course, we did a cross-country run from Bohemia. We sent up our army, defeated some rebels, and then he died. And there you go, we have that alliance back again. I was absolutely terrified at the prospect of Toulouse. That Toulouse was joining against us, and I thought, we're not going to be able to survive against Toulouse. We might actually have to send the army across. If we siege down these areas. Send them down here. And cause even more trouble. I was going to say Toulouse is in another war. Nope, it's just us. It's just us. So the war score is going to tick up slowly. They're not in a position to get any allies. We have 5,500 troops. Let's see if we can finish this siege on the Isle of Wight. Yeah, I think we're going to be sending the armies across for the first time in a very long time. Do you know what? We've never been to Spain. I don't think we've ever been to Spain. We are going to choose where we want to go based on how much money it has. Spain is not good. I don't think anywhere is good. Oh, and that's the place that just claimed independence from them, or it was part of the Independence War. I don't even think that is Toulouse that I'm clicking on right now. I would like to visit Barcelona because they beheaded a member of our family. I think it was Quillen's family. Will we sail them around Spain? Sure, why not? And so we have arrived off the southern coast of... Wait a minute, this isn't the southern coast of Spain. This isn't the southern coast of anywhere. So Toulouse, I thought they were actually coming for this region. They're being very helpful. They've brought their army up to meet us. We're going to suffer a penalty because we'll have disembarked. For a second, I didn't fully understand what was going on here. I was like, is this, we can pick one of two names? Are we giving our child a first name and a surname? Or a first name and a second name? No! Our wife has had twins! Let's see. Good Irish names. Art, nothing wrong with Art. And Dovgulla. Art and Dovgulla. Now, there you go. What are we going to do? We don't even have time to consider our new children. I think we're going to have to send one army in that direction. And we might actually, now that we've landed him here, we might actually go and send the king on a cross-country run. We could have probably left one of the armies out at sea. This is actually even handier. But as always, catching these armies is going to be the problem. One of our armies has caught an army commanded by the Duchess of Toulouse itself. The High King's army is attempting to catch this one that's moving around in our territory, heading into Lothringe. I don't think we will. That was a hefty defeat. That doubled the war score. And the High King has managed to catch this other one. Commanded by a mercenary leader. We will park these guys. Do you know what? We'll bring them. Can we bring them through the battle? I don't actually want to bring them into the battle. 72% war score. We might actually be able to gather some troops and march them south and begin sieging chunks of Toulouse. And as if to help us in our march south, organised march. Movement speed plus 15%. The devil. She managed to get some forces up and into Wales. I don't know how much she can do there. How many forces could we raise? Do you know what? We could almost raise enough forces right beside her to push her out. The only problem, of course, is that we don't have a huge amount of knights in that army. Yeah, it doesn't look like we're actually going to do that great. But it'll delay them for a while, if nothing else. I think any losses that they suffer. I'm trying to justify this defeat. We've retreated off the field with more troops than they actually have in their army. Our forces, yeah, they're leaving because our forces have hit Toulouse itself, not the capital or anything like that. I can't stand them down just yet. If we look at our defeat there, a couple of their counts did major work. They even got somebody wounded. And then we had 2 victories over them so far. There was their leader in that victory that they just had. And nothing massive from the second battle we had either. We get an update that one of our wives is pregnant. The regions down here are actually quite difficult to siege down. We're going to try to hunt down some of their units. Give them some blows. We've done absolutely nothing since the last 2 victories, since the last 2 times we hit them, and we've gone from about, what, 75% war score to 83. One of our sons comes of age. I have no idea what we trained this guy in. I should check if there's any of these guys that are not going to inherit anything. I think we've so much land that everyone is going to inherit something at the moment. We've dealt a good chunk of a blow to one of their armies. We could almost send... Could we go south for the capital itself? I don't think... No, definitely not. 7! We're in trouble with places that are a 4, never mind a 7. I think we'll park them right there and wait for this war score to go up. I won't say it doesn't bear looking at, but Nothing massive on our end, and we inflicted 2 casualties. Matt Strangi ripped his first head. And his second head. He got two heads ripped off in a single battle. That's impressive. I've never seen anyone do that before. I didn't even know you could do that. I suppose, what, caught one guy by one hand, one guy with the other hand, and just ripped? Fair play, that's efficiency. And with that somewhat lackluster trumpet, we've taken some prisoners. Somebody can get married. I think we are marrying this person for nothing other than her quick trait. She doesn't have a quick trait. I have no idea why we're marrying this person. Her father is a count of something. Rana, yes. I remember now. Yes, I'm a professional. So he has 1,200 troops, and we will send that proposal. We will enforce our demands. Greetings, High King Ercaid of Ireland. Finally, someone respects us. May you live in harmony and contentment. You are a much greater foe than I imagined. Do you know what? I feel bad now. I have been desperately searching through my court for somebody to grant some land to. There is nobody in my family that I can grant it to. I was trying to sway somebody, a member of the Uí Néill, to come to my court, the way I could grant them some land, but no go. I'm slow to give land to my knights because, of course, I want them in my service. Now, Ercaid is getting old, but he's still, look at him, at 63, -9 due to old age. He is still at 20, but his son is useless. So I'm going to give his son Wiltshire and Gloucestershire. He's already an insular Christian, and he's going to have control over these stones. +2 to learning. Faith conversion cost goes down 20%. Quite handy. It would be quite nice to hold on to this region, but we're not in a position to do so. So I am going to grant him. We will grant him Wiltshire and Gloucestershire, isn't it? Yeah. I don't think we're anywhere near what the kingdom was at its greatest extent under Ruacón or even Cullen. However, we have pushed south into territory that the kingdom has never held before, to the very southern coast of England. I think it's quite clear what we're going to do in the next episode. Actually, do you know, it's not, because we are suffering a -30 penalty from our vassals at the moment because of the amount of offensive wars. It's entirely possible that we might actually have to step back, possibly do some raids to build up the prestige. Look at that for a sum of gold. I hope that we can pass that on to somebody if the High King was to die all of a sudden. He's now 49 years of age. But if we can get the vassals back on track, the conquest of Cornwall, finishing off some of the entities that we started with, such as what's left of Cheshire in northern Shwales, possibly Shwales itself. Northumbria is actually attacking for part of it at the moment. And then possibly the episode after that, we'll definitely have to take a break before a subjugation war against England. I think that'll be the last thing that we do once I have made sure that we have everything in place to immediately proclaim an empire on the conquest of England. It's been an intense episode from the point of martial activities. Thank you for joining me on this episode, and I hope that you will join me on the next one.